Quit eating, folks, 30 seconds to showtime. Grab your seat, leave your drinks to the bar. Hold your breath, put your hands together. We present Stanford Bay's finest star. Who has danced with the Mariner Guinea? Who has dined with the Queen of Vermont? We trace the voyages of Sinbad. Corresponded with the men who can't love us to be. C'est pas la même chose que la vache qui rit. La vache est fort, mon ami.
And hello. Welcome to the show today. My name is Geoff with the G, and welcome to the G Spot. And today I have an amazing group of guests going to be part of the show, all the way from New York City, as the Pace Picante commercials used to go. We have the Brides, which is right here, right now. How are you guys doing today?
We're good. Good to see you, Geoff.
Yeah, so that's Faux and Aurora North right there, and I'll let you guys guess who's who. That's fine because that's half the fun. Actually, I think they're even lined up on their picture. I think that's on purpose on who's who. It's all about branding.
Left-handed, so we don't spill our drinks. So left-handed, right-handed.
Okay.
Welcome to this town hall meeting, everyone.
Yes,
we do not want to discuss the candidate of your choice tonight. We have no solutions for how to survive the pandemic. This is simply a focus group.
Back to you, Geoff.
I suggest sticking with liquor stocks. Works really, really well. So in pandemic times, I mean, that and porn. I mean, not to be in porn, but to invest in porn.
Geoff took it right back to economy and politics, right there. Liquor.
It's in a recession. You know, liquor and porn and gambling are all recession proof. So those are always great things to be investing in.
And toilet paper futures, apparently.
That's also true. So yeah, brought to you by Old Humble Whiskey, who is an actual sponsor, by the way. That's a legit thing. Hot Todd Lincoln is in the chat, and he says, "Hello, brides." And apparently he missed he was supposed to be part of the workshop, come to be a part of the workshop earlier, and he missed it. You missed it all. You're out. No, I'm kidding. It happens. No, for those people aren't in the know, Faux Pas Lafay taught a workshop about converting your stage show into a virtual show, and then how to make that work and stuff like that, which is a lot of fun and really, really cool. Oh, and Matt Griller's in the chat too.
Hi, Matt.
We're really lining up. Hey, Matt, good to see you.
It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been so long since that happened. So let's see. Sorry. So let's dive in because we met 6,000 years ago at the last Hootenanny, or at least that's how it feels. Where you guys totally killed, and so it was really a lot of fun to be sharing the stage with you for a bit, which was a lot of fun. But a lot of people don't know you guys very well. Why don't you guys let's get the elevator pitch on the Brides.
Well, go ahead, honey.
We are a circus sideshow duo. We are our own 10-in-1.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. So yes, we are a circus sideshow duo. This is my wife, Aurora North, the talkative one, as you can see. I am Faux Pas Lafay, and we produce 2 shows regularly. Our all-ages show is Pixie Grit Circus Sideshow. That's our banner right there behind us that we painted ourselves. And we also do a monthly adult circus sideshow variety show called Eat Me, a variety show that now is Eat Me, a Variety Show virtual dinner theater. And that show we do on Zoom because it's well beyond PG-13. So it couldn't live on Twitch or most spaces in America. And so you can tune into that to see unbridled, uncensored circus sideshow.
Variety singing.
Yes, in theatrical forms that would either get us elected Queen of the World or arrested for life. So yeah.
Why not both?
Well, we already have that in office right now, apparently.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I'd say don't get political, but I don't care. We can get as political as you want. No, that's really cool. How long you guys been? How long have you been doing it individually, or as individually, then as a group as well?
Okay.
Okay, so I auditioned for Faux Pas dance company back in the day,
Back in the day.
in 2013, twice because I didn't get in the first time. So we did the dance thing for a while. The company evolved into more of a nightlife cabaret company. We were always dancers by trade. We had some circus background, and we had been in doing our duets, incorporating circus acrobatic partnering, but started learning more sideshow skills. When would you say? Like 4 years ago?
4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
What I miss?
Well, yeah, that's good. We sort of because we were doing shows at Coney that were sort of not the grind or the sideshow when we were first out there, that we were doing sort of other shows that they would produce or outside producers would bring in. We started to meet people. I was very drawn. I'd already, as a child, I had studied some clowning, and then I was very drawn to it being a trans woman. So now I do performances that sort of pay homage to the history of like Josephine Joseph and the historical half and half freaks.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of what really was my interest. And I think for both of us, we felt that we weren't quite fitting in sort of the concert dance world with what we wanted to express, who we are, and these shorter formats that nightlife and sideshow offered to make sort of little tiny vignettes or movies, live movies, as we like to call our acts, in these little 3 to 5 minute spurts were perfect, and we felt spoke much more to an audience in a visceral way, in terms of the way people needed information in this high speed time. So there was this irony of old world art form that now is really relevant because
keep people's attention.
You can get it out there, give them this arc really fast. And I know the other thing that is really, I guess I find, since there are times I'm still contracted, or will be again, I hope, to choreograph or make things out in that world, the sort of money people, traditional, the pretty people world. When I'm there, everything I make has to have this awareness of it's going to be seen by them. Or when I'm hired to host a show at certain clubs, we were even driving. We were at a queer club one night where I had just hosted a show and you'd performed, and a friend was driving us to another club, and she said, "Oh, you're so quiet," to me, which is rare. And so I said, I'm just recalibrating my brain because I just hosted a show at a queer club. Now I'm going to host a show that's predominantly white, hetero, privileged guys and their dates. So I have to rethink what I'm doing because I've been hired by that, to be there. It's not like I get to do whatever I want. So I'm aware of that in these different venues. When we're doing sideshow, when we're out at the sideshow, we're out at Coney or wherever, or at the Hoot. Even when someone walks in that's unfamiliar, I think that when they go to something that's a sideshow or a carnival atmosphere, they understand they're coming into our world. Mm-hmm. And so we don't have to filter because they're on our turf now. And I don't know if you have anything to add about that.
No, you said it all.
Okay, good night, everybody. Bye.
All right. Yeah. Drink your vitamins, eat your prayers. No, it's really really fascinating. With me, I got started producing my own shows and stuff like that just a couple of years ago, and then uh, that's kind of a similar thing. But I on my end, I just went just to go. I just produced my own show. I produced my own shows because that's the only way I knew I could get booked, and I just figured it was easier that way. Um, but but yeah, the corporate doing the weird corporate shows and stuff like that, and then having to go. All right, cool. Like in the morning, I'm doing this weird corporate gig, and then in the evening, I'm going to do the Wild and Body show, or vice versa, and then I get the reset. I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we started Eat Me, a variety show. We hadn't produced much before that, but we were finding we weren't getting the platforms to present our work,
Right.
because we felt like we were two women as a duo in this circus and sideshow and nightlife world, but we weren't the same two-woman duo that were popular because we weren't.
Well, I think where you're going is in corporate, the higher end corporate gigs, in terms of, because one of the things we do together is acro partnering. And what we were seeing in the higher end corporate gigs is either a cis opposite sex couple, man woman couple, getting booked because that was comfortable for people,
Mm-hmm.
or two cis women doing what we call not a lesbian interaction, but doing girl on girl, sort of male gaze.
Yeah.
Not really queer. It's just two hot women doing things men want to see. And so we felt like the only way we were going to be able to do our authentic art as much as we needed to was to create our own space to do it in. And one of our missions is then to hire other artists that need that same space.
No, it's very, very cool. I had the opportunity because you did some of the acro stuff at the Hoot, and I really, really enjoyed it. When you're talking about this stuff, you guys remind, like, the other acro stuff I see, like, what you guys were doing was very similar to, like, usually it's like two dudes do a lot of that sort of stuff. I don't see. I mean, it's not like a bad thing or anything. It's like usually that's usually how I see it. So, yeah, like you see it like at Cirque du Soleil back when that was a thing, and then other stuff as well. But I just no, it was really really enjoyable. It's not very often you get to see that sort of acro act done by two women. So I liked it. I mean, the entire show was amazing. So
Thank you. That's actually how we developed a lot of our partnering elements after first initially working together. Whenever we would try and come up with new elements, we would watch the two male duo and get ideas. So
Right. And
you're not far off.
And then we really try to balance who's basing who,
Yeah.
so it's not like one person's the base and one person is being supported. And I guess I feel compelled to interject something.
okay,
This is sort of a topic out there. You can turn off your ears, kids, if you want. So
no kids here.
just to dispel misinformation as a trans woman. As someone who has been medically transitioning, and you go through hormone therapy and sundry surgeries, when you are born in the wrong body, once you start transitioning and going through things with the help of doctors, hopefully, when I do blood work, everything in my body is aligned for a woman my age. If you wanted to look at like pictures that we took through all the years, I guess where I'm going with this whole debate about kids in athletics and all this stuff, I don't have any sort of like male advantage doing partnering anymore. I actually have to work out harder to not gain weight, to be able to do any lifting, because everything has shifted. So in terms of, all of these, I just needed to throw that in as an ambassador to my people, in terms of this whole like fairness thing. you know, it's not sort of some of these other arguments that we're seeing. We actually try lifts all the time where I'm like, I can't do that, honey. I'm sorry, I can't do it. You know. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now.
That's okay. No, it's a weird transition stuff, but I get it. As a transition. No, I never thought that there was any sort of like advantage one way or the other, like because that's big in the news about all that sort of stuff, whether it's like professional sports or even high school stuff. And I'm just going, no. I mean, I go no matter what it is. I mean, the only thing I could say you could argue about stuff is because of hormone therapy and stuff like that. That does alter stuff. So you can like if you really want to bitch, you can that level just because it's like not steroids, but even so, I know there's no basic advantage. It's like saying different ethnicities have certain advantages too, which also are not true. So anyway, let's talk about more pleasant things. Yes.
So I'm gonna like just let another topic evolve.
Oh, sure, please. That's fine. That's the idea. It's a conversation.
So down in Austin, how are you weathering the storm right now, Geoff?
The actual storm. But I mean, just as far as how am I dealing with all of this?
Yeah.
The post-COVID life, as it were.
This is Clark.
Hello, Clark. That's fine. Now our viewership's gonna jump like 5,000% just because there's a dog in the stream because
Anyway.
No, Austin's been it's been pretty nice. I've lived here for about a year now. So it's like I was getting my footing up until about the hoot time because I was about 6 months in, and then everything shut down. And so all the stuff I was talking to about doing things like, all right, cool, doing shows again, and started to get to know owners. Half the bars that I was talking with about producing shows are no longer here. So we're going to see what happens once stuff becomes live again. Or I may just continue to do this. I have 3 shows on this network. How do you think I'm doing? There's nothing else to do. And for those people who are joining in the chat, this is the G Spot. I'm Geoff with the G. I am having a great conversation with the Brides, who are an amazing group of circus sideshow people from all the way in New York City, as I am in Austin, Texas. But you could also be watching this anywhere. That's a great thing about the Twitch universe is you can be watching from all over the world. We've had people talk who were on from Sweden. A lot of the sideshow people I know from Canada and the Toronto area pops on quite a bit. So happy to have them part of it. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't forget to put them in the chat. If you are just watching without joining, please do so for Twitch. It's free to sign up. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can join the chat and ask weird questions to either myself or the Brides. Weirder the better, I think, as long as it's polite.
Joining. I didn't know you could watch without joining.
Oh yeah, because it's just a link. You can like some people they'll click a link and watch it that way, or like me, technically, like how I do this here. I've got my computer, I've got my I've got my camera, and then I have my TV, which is actually broadcasting for me, so I can see from a distance. So it allows me, so that way I'm spending less time looking at the computer this way, so I don't get as much camera eye level. But my TV is closer there, so it's easier for me to dart over and see how you're doing to make sure the stream is going well, and I can also keep track of the chat that way too.
That's like watching porn on your friend's computer. You don't have to join; you just watch it.
That's true. Well, it's like TV.
Right.
It's just like that's a great thing about Twitch is like interactive TV, so you can actually chat with people. It's kind of like Facebook Live or like YouTube Live in that respect too. It's just that you can actually go back and watch it later versus those places where you really can't. All right, question.
Uh-oh.
All right, this is from Matt Griller, because I always like to ask on how you start this journey into the world of sideshow and variety arts. Now, you explained how you guys got together, but before you got together, you had your own journeys, and what's that journey before you got together? Does that make sense? Maybe I'm
Yeah,
just drinking too much. I don't know.
we had an interest before we met, I know.
Well, mine was more from the like classic circus and more the Cirque du Soleil route that I was interested in. I think that's because of my upbringing in dance and theater. So I grew up going to a performing arts program, and then I went to do my bachelor's degree and master's degree in dance and dance choreography. Um, and throughout that time, I just had this love and awe for the circus, watching Cirque du Soleil and the acrobats and the aerialists and the clowning and all of it. It just really drew me in, but I didn't really start training in any of that until we met. I think I was just so narrowed in on my dance training that I didn't have the time or really the energy to look into circus. So it wasn't until we got together.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think growing up, I mean, I was aware probably between the age of 1 and 2, something was seriously wrong. Like I knew within that time, pre-3-year-old, I'm a girl and this is wrong. I'm in the wrong body. Just to preface, I was born in 1969, so it's possible to still be living, kids. So in the early 70s, I was on military bases. So 3 TV channels and PBS. So there's not a lot of like information flowing. I didn't even hear the word trans till I was a preteen. I just knew from little bits about life and commentary from my parents or things I would hear, okay, something's wrong with me and I can't say anything or else they'll send me to some, place for crazy people. So I wasn't aware there were other people like me or, that there's a way you can seek help for this. And I don't know why. I can't say the first moment. I remember early on relating always more to the monster in fairy tales or the monster in old classic monster movies because that's how I felt. And then I want to say it was either a book about John Merrick, the Elephant Man, that I stumbled upon. And after I read that, I started researching everything about freaks I could, because I just related to this idea of being born and feeling different. And I think that was the seed for me. And I always loved my grandparents. I'm a proud granddaughter of Appalachian hillbillies from West Virginia. And whenever I spent time with them, they took me to junk shops all the time. They called it antiquing, but it was poor people antiquing. And I would find like a jawbone or teeth. I didn't know I was sort of doing a curiosity mini little collectible for myself, but I always found the strangest stuff that the person could tell me a story about. And so I just think there was this just intuitive draw to this place, whether it be objects or people from history that I felt at home with. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that.
Actually, yeah, Matt Griller. Thank you for being so chatty. I like it. We like interaction. Basically, it's the movie, the actual movie Elephant Man was his seed, and then Circus and Paris as a kid. God, like sideshow is always like I think I got the bug back in like '91. Because I went to the first year at Lollapalooza and Jim Rose was my first real experience with the sideshow stuff, and so I was always a big fan of it in the background, and then life happened, and then life happened again, and so I was able to explore it, and so I've really kind of deep dove into it.
Yeah. Oh, don't think I really experienced sideshow until my first visit to Coney Island, which wasn't until I moved.
What
here.
about your grad school piece?
Oh shoot! I totally forgot about that. Thank you.
You had a fascination from somewhere else before we knew each other.
I don't remember where it came from. Okay, backtrack. When I was in grad school, there was a course that we had to take that was a collaboration between the dancers in the master's program, designers, which included lighting designer, costume designer, and set designer, and also composers in the music program. And so we all collaborated in groups to create a piece, and it could be whatever we wanted. It just had to be grand. We had to think out the box, and bigger the better. So the fellow dance partner and I, the idea that we came up with was based on turn of the century freaks in the sideshow, and I don't remember where that idea came from, but we made that. And this was also granted before I was aware that it is wrong for people who are not freaks to embody or present as people that are. So I apologize for that. I have learned since then. But you're right. Yeah, that was something that was fast. I don't remember where I got that idea from though.
That's okay. But there was something about
something
it
that drew me in. Yes.
I mean, if you're going to do your whole graduate thesis on something.
It wasn't a thesis.
What? Oh, you went
It was just a course.
Oh, that's right.
NYU doesn't require thesis.
NYU doesn't require an actual thesis, kids.
What?
This girl got her graduate degree in Texas.
I don't know what that's. Yeah, that's. Me too. I went to Texas. I went to school for theater and film. So that's no. Good for you, I guess. NYU. I guess that's why it's so popular for artists to do stuff, because you don't have to do a thesis.
For other programs, at least for the dance graduate.
It could be. I don't know. So what Hot Tub Lincoln's in the chat. His thing that got him into the sideshow and stuff like that was the book Geek Love, and then actually going to see the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus, which was in an actual tent. So that was also a huge influence. I've actually never seen a true tent show sideshow. I've seen people do aspects of it, but it's I'm here in Texas. They don't travel very much here. Everything we see here is like nightclub acts, essentially what they call what Chris Christ calls nightclub acts.
Mm-hmm. See, the first thing I didn't know enough to know the connection, but I mean, again, I'm probably older, but we moved around a ton. But when we were back, it was more El Paso, New Mexico. And my first experiences for live stuff like that were these strange livestock / Wild West shows. And so the first snake performer I saw was a rattler wrangler. And I just remember this big cowboy in a ring. It was like they put wooden barrier, like a ring, and with rattlers, and he was like picking them up and showing them and talking. And then remembering like watching like indigenous tribes dance, but then like there's smoke and there's a shaw woman over there, and I don't know what she's doing, but it's cool looking. And so just that was sort of my live intro, was the smell and the dust and the boots and the snakes and the sounds. At the time I didn't know what it was. It was just, we're going here. And I think I was drawn more to the performative aspect than the rest of my family, who were there to go, hey, look at that steer. But as I grew up and learned, I was like, oh, okay, that's what that was. That was the Wild West version of these shows, going on.
No, growing up, I did see because that did exist in Texas as far as stuff like those Wild West shows and stuff like that. But like just the classic, step right up sort of shows, we didn't have much, at least where I lived. Let's see who else in the chat. Matt Griller also says a big thing was roadside attractions. So you go like the Route 66 route and see all the weird, big ball of twine, or you go to the House on the Rock sort of thing. And then, of course, loves the Old Wild West shows. Actually, weirdly enough, I kind of dug the Old Wild West shows, but I didn't want to say too much because I was living with the guy. My sister's now ex-husband was like born and bred like small town Texas, and I just did not get along with him very well. So I didn't want to look like I enjoyed something too much. They'd want to pay attention to me. So, but I enjoyed it. Then Hot Todd goes, yes. I guess for the tent stuff, he goes, yeah. The horses running around the rings in the tent circus made the ground shake. There was a live band. The lighting came through the tent that was perfectly filtered, and you really felt immersed in that other world. It's like you talked about earlier about people coming in to go see your shows because they're coming into your world, and so being able to cultivate that is really kind of cool.
Yeah. My first, I have a little act about it, but the first clowns I ever experienced were rodeo clowns, and later experienced like in the Barnum Circus clowns. But my first memory of clowns was the rodeo clowns, and I watched them, not the bull riders. That was what I was like, oh, that is so cool. That I want to know more about that. And fortunately, very young, at least when there was my mom signed me up once for a summer mime workshop and then clown and stuff, because I don't think she knew why the heck I threatened to run away to clown college a lot of times. It wasn't just run away. I was very specific. I was like, I'm going to run away to clown college. So,
Yale. Okay, you're going to Yale. The Simpsons joke. Actually, what's weirdly enough is like looking at all, because we all know a few clowns, and weirdly enough is the rodeo clown doesn't get enough play when it comes to anybody with their clown personas. We see some hobos, we see some trash clowns. Scab's the clown for me one, and even people more in the classic like Ringling sense. And yes, of course, but it's one of those. Rodeo clown doesn't get enough play, I think, and at least in our circles. I mean, rodeo clowns still exist at the rodeo, but you don't see enough rodeo stuff. Just enough, people who at least present themselves as a rodeo clown doing clown stuff outside of that. Just a thought for any of you clown people. Exactly. Rodeo clown.
It's not common. I don't think it's something you think about when you think about clowns. So I appreciate the act that you have. It's very educational.
It's one of my favorite acts, and I've been booked on other shows to do it. But just like a lot of art, it came out of a challenge and a necessity. We do a show in our rotation of, some of our Eat Me shows have themes.
Not all.
Mm-hmm. And we do our show that we do in February.
For Valentine's.
Rather than Valentine's, is we do a show called Clown Love. And so we have all wackadoo clown sideshow artists on the show. And this show happened. One, I wanted to do something different than the other clowns. And two, I was still recovering from surgery. So I was limited in physically what I could do. And I was racking my brains going, what am I going to do? I don't have a lot of choices physically right now. And I started thinking, which I think is a great place to come from with art. I went back to actually something that I was inspired by when I was growing up in dance and choreography, that Lester Horton, who was Alvin Ailey's teacher, said, to make a dance, you use who you are, your heritage, and where you come from. So I sort of started thinking about that. And I was like, well, the first clown I ever saw was a rodeo clown. So that act grew out of, I physically don't have a lot of options, and I want to present something to the audience that's different than a show full of clowns that we've got. Mm-hmm. So yeah, sometimes using those limitations, like a pandemic, kids, helps you inspire, go make art. Yeah.
Yeah, you because I saw a couple of months ago, because you were on the Clowns Kills Empire show. That was a Zoom show. Was that was the rodeo clown act, right?
Yeah.
I watched it because Pickles LeVay, who actually was on here last week on the show last week, and so we were chatting. I've known her since the Hoot the year before, and so we ended up chatting and stuff like that. And she goes, "Yeah, I'm doing the thing live." I go, "All right, cool, I'll watch it." Uh, it was a lot. The amazing Boobzilla's in the chat, and she's offering heart face emojis and stuff like that. And then Matt Grillo says, "I want to see that act." It was a really cool act. I really dug it a lot. That was a really great show in general. Like the Clownskill Empire stuff is always great.
Oh, fun, yeah.
Yeah, we consider Clownskill Empire as like sort of an unofficial sister show. We're great friends with a lot of the collective, and I mean we know Pickles because you're a comedian too.
Well, Pickles and
Imogen.
Imogen,
And,
yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Imogen! A few days.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Love you.
She'll probably catch it on the review. All right, so people are just joining in again. Welcome to the show. This is the G Spot. My name is Geoff with the G. I'm with the Brides, and we're talking about circus stuff. We're talking sideshow stuff. We're talking really about anything and everything we want to talk about. If you have questions, drop them in the chats. Otherwise, we're just going to do dumb stuff on the air until it's time for us to get off. I do have underneath them where I do have the listing of their next upcoming show, which is September 20th, 7:30 EST. I think important to say that. Usually I say CST because I'm CST, but it's EST, so Eastern Standard Time, on Zoom. Follow them on Instagram to get all the details. It's going to be a lot of fun. I plan on watching. So.
Yes.
Yes. So other than reintegrating your live shows into the virtual environment, what else have you guys been up to?
Well, you go first, honey.
Well, I spent more than the first half of the pandemic redeployed to work in a hospital, which was terrifying.
You already worked in a hospital.
Well, I had just started a job at a physical therapy clinic that is part of a hospital up here. And then the pandemic hit and they needed to redeploy people to help out at the hospital. So I ended up in a nursing unit that was full of COVID patients. Thankfully, New York got things under control and the numbers went down, and now I'm back at the physical therapy clinic. So that's most of what I do. You thankfully cook and feed me. Cook for me.
Well, during the height of this for New York, and I know that the height or the most intense time is different depending on where you reside.
Yeah,
we got to go first. One of the ones first. Wow. And I remember when this happened and you were deployed doing these night shifts, we joked that we were sort of becoming our mothers because your mom works in a hospital.
Yeah, she's a laboratory technician.
And my mom was a Vietnam War wife. Remember, as a wee one. And so you were doing that stressful job, and I was standing in lines at markets with masks on to stock our food and cooking dinners at 1 a.m, So you would walk in and it was very Mad Men, and I was like standing there with a cocktail and an apron with dinner ready to go. My brave warrior. That's what we were doing. And then I built our theater because I, give a lesbian a hammer and some time. So that's what was happening.
Yeah. And these days I don't know. We train, we come up with new acts, we plan our shows.
You still go to work though.
Part-time.
It's part-time. I mean, what I do has been, is on a cold slab over there. So like a lot of us.
You teach Pilates.
I do. Well, I mean, in the before times, I guess we're in BT, in 2020 BT.
Yeah.
I mean, my day gig was I've been a Pilates teacher, personal trainer, and Thai massage therapist for many, many moons. But the studios I taught at, are shuttered. I've had a few regular online clients throughout. And, so that's been my little trickle of income. And
you teach dance.
I started recently. We have a friend who's an aerialist, and they live a bike ride. I only ride bikes everywhere now, and she has a 5-year-old son who was interested in dance. And before I really got into sideshow, I'm a trained dancer and danced with companies here in New York and have taught. So I have been going twice a week, riding my bike over. They own a little in New York, it's hard to know what to call it, but they own their own something, and it's got a little backyard. So we do a little across each other in the backyard with masks on. I go over and I do a dance lesson for this young man. And when I was teaching at like ballet academies, one of the age groups I was very good with was 3, 4, and 5, 6 year olds. So I've been doing that, so that someday when all this opens up, I'm teaching wee ones to go out and make art when we're all ashes and headstones or whatever.
That is on both of those sides. That's amazing what you guys are doing. I know like New York was like the super crazy place during the initialness of COVID, and the fact is that you guys came out of that. Not one is you guys are still together, so that's a plus sign because that was a stress. It's a stress. I understand that's a very stressful time to be in, anyways. And then you're still creating and doing more art, and you're hungry for it. So I'm really glad for it. So kudos, cheers.
I think. I mean, what? Oh, I didn't do the cheers. I'm sorry. Let me get my tiny mug.
No, it's okay. No worries. Tiny mug.
I think fairly early on for me, I realized we're not going back to anything we recognize anytime soon. And really, we're not going back to anything we recognize ever. It's always going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my mom, and we were talking about this, and she said, well, bless your heart, you were probably like trained for this. We moved around every 2 years for the first like 12 years of your life in the Army. Then you went through divorces and all the bouncing. So you had to really deal with, that's over now. This is what we're doing. And even when we started dating and we were sharing our lives with each other, you literally looked at me when they went, that's fucked up, right, honey? Because, you don't know until you meet other people. Like, oh, wow, everyone else didn't have like 9 marriages between their parents. True story. So I guess in the South, that's just an underachiever, folks. I don't know. But what? So when this was pretty early on, I kind of had a sense that like, whatever happens, let go of what was, because it's not going to be or feel the same. And I didn't want to feel like I was marking time. I didn't want to feel like I was waiting
placeholder,
because every day, especially because the stories you were telling me from that war zone you were in, I was like, every day I wake up and I'm not on a ventilator and you're not on a ventilator and someone we love is not on one, and I'm able to do something, that's life to live. It's not life to wait until life happens. And I'm not saying that's easy. And I get, there's been plenty of days I've spent half the day laying on the couch doing nothing.
We had a 2-month hiatus.
But that said, I really felt like, look, this is life, and hopefully it will be better and we'll get to do more. But I'm going to live like this is my life, not like I'm waiting for my life to come back.
And I needed it as an outlet. I needed a creative something to pour myself into that wasn't the hospital. So that's why early on, I appreciated us figuring out how to do these Zoom shows.
Well, I would send you little movies, little silly movies. Oh. I'd like, I built a theater, or I'd make little movies and send them to you to cheer you up at the hospital. So that was my job. Mm-hmm. I was like the USO tour, but in here.
I live here with a dog. It's not like he was going out anywhere to take care of stuff. And I was creating stuff out of boredom. Not really boredom, but just like, if left to my own devices, I would just get fat and play video games. And so I decided I didn't want to do that. I still got the Corin 15-ish for But that's why I started doing the shows. Not so much as like I need I needed so it gave me a connection because I don't have it's like me and the dog doesn't really he has the same answer to everything, so it gets really hard to have a conversation with him.
You should watch your dog's show. He talks a lot more than you think.
Oh, I'm sure. I wouldn't surprise me. He's a pretty little husky, so yeah, he would
I
do
think
such a thing. So
I think boredom is a profound reason to do anything. Boredom is just a state that happens that tells us do something. So that's a perfect reason to do something,
well, yeah, and
I was just going to say, I do understand kind of letting that take over, letting the boredom and the feeling like, I don't know, not just the apathy and the lethargic, but I understand being overwhelmed by that and not being able to overcome it.
Yeah.
But that it is a kick in the pants.
Yeah. The other reason why I did it too is because when my wife died a few years ago, like the grief really hit me hard, and so I basically I created rituals for myself just to function. And so that was like as the pandemic hit, by doing the show and stuff like that, it helped me create rituals just to function again. So that's the other reason why I did it, because I go that's the process. Is I go doing the small things to make sure you keep going, otherwise you'll just fall into that weird pit of despair. So
I want to crawl through the screen and give you a hug now.
thank you. Actually, that's what like at the Hoot. That's for the pre-show. When I told my story on how I found the Hoot and everything like that, and where I went from that day, March 10th, 2017, to when I performed on stage, which was like a day before the anniversary of the death. And so I told the story of how I processed and went through it all the way to it. And then now I'm here on stage today for you guys. So cheers to all you freaks and stuff like that. That's when I did the mousetraps and my stuff. So, the Hoot's a really big deal to me. So that's why I joined.
Yeah.
And sideshow has been a really great thing for me too, because it's been a really great community, and I've really enjoyed everybody I've met and talked with and kind of built just these new things together. So I would say cheers again, but I'm empty. I'll do it in a minute. So we've got about 9 minutes left. So anybody else wants to jump in the chat? Anybody has any other questions or concerns in the chat? Do so. We're still going to just talk about goofy stuff until then. If you guys are up for it, the bride's there. Usually what happens after the show gets done, the show goes off air, but we stay on and chat, and we bring people on. We just get goofy and get dumb, just like our Wednesday chats, but just with other random people sometimes. If you guys are up for it.
You mean there's like sideshow gimps in a closet? You just let them out after this?
Well, yeah, I mean, how long have you been in sideshow?
I'm just going to say, I'm really in awe to learn all that about you, and that you were able, going solo to deal and cope and thrive and survive. Because I say all the time, not only producing, but everything in life, like I have a team member. Like I'm not doing this alone, and I could not do this alone. So well done to you, for doing that, because like you're like a featured superhero. We're just like the fucking lesbian Wonder Twins over here. We just lean on each other all the time.
It's a really weird experience to live. I do not recommend the experience, but it's one of those also weird inevitabilities. Now I did a lot of reading about it and just trying to figure out my life again, and then literally was like the 1 year and the first anniversary of her death. I produced a benefit show in her honor because she loved like burlesque and all this stuff like that, and so I put a show together, raised money for her favorite charities. We raised like $2,000 just for her favorite charities for people to come out, and then I went. That's a lot of fun, and then like a week later, I went to the Hoot for the first time.
Okay.
I wasn't even I did the benefit. I wasn't a performer really. I was just did a show, and I really liked that, and I did the other thing, and then I went, after the Hoot, I go, you know what, I kind of want to do another show again and produce something to see whether or not I have whether or not I really had that, whether make sure people wanted to come to see me versus coming to see her was the idea. And so I put together another show. Gigi Deluxe came to Texas for the first time to perform because I met her at the Hoot, and lots of other really great local performers, stuff like the Scabs the Clown, Jim McKenzie, and that went over well. And just it's been that way since then. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Todd, I'm not doing this to my own horn, just make sure because you guys still can't see the chat. So Todd goes, I applaud Geoff for this show. I guess this show. And for his rapid evolution in the sideshow world. I'm one of those type of people, I'll be honest, that once I figure out something, I want to do something, I dive head deep in and try to learn as much as I can. And I try to do it as quick as I can because I want to just catch up with everybody else so that way I can just kind of go, all right, cool. Now what? And so I'm almost there. I was almost getting there just by live stuff. And then so I started doing the tech, this other side. Now I'm going, I'm almost getting to have everything learned, and then the world will start getting back weird again, and we'll figure something else out. So, anyway, if you guys are down, what I'm gonna do is nobody come on yet, but I'm gonna put the link in the chat to join with us, and you guys can, everybody, audience members can jump in after the. Why are we not? Maybe I can put it in the chat. I don't know. And then you audience members can join us after the credits. We can actually talk like shit about nobody. I don't do that. I don't really do that anyway.
That's it's funny that you mention about wanting to learn everything you can as fast as you can. That's what one of our sideshow mentors has told us, Patrick Wall
at Coney.
He was a choir teacher and blockhead teacher and just all over general mentor. He said we pick up sideshow skills like we're in the Matrix.
He said you observe sideshow like it's the Matrix. That's what he said to us.
But I think we came at it as in the same way as you. Once we were enthralled by it, we just said, we need to know more. So. You discover that you're hungry and you're really hungry. And so you're just like, I'm going to have a nibble. And so I go, no, that's like the best thing I've ever eaten. I can have all of that now. My body will not, because your body just goes, no, I must eat that. And because your body will crave certain things. I just really crave whatever that is. And so that's all I've been doing. And so learning stuff and things like that. Hot Todd Lincoln is saying he is also fortunate to be part of this world because it's like finding family for me. Me too. Sometimes dysfunctional, but still family. There are folks I've met in the last few years that have been wildly supportive and present for me. It is greatly appreciated. Present, host, and guests vehemently included. Matt Gurley says Patrick is a great guy, a great man. Todd also says Patrick is fantastic. Give him his regards when you talk to him next. And Todd also said he recognized me from my one and only appearance on that stage. I think it was over a year later. So it's like he did it like a year later. He still recognizes him. So that's cool. Great. That's amazing.
Patrick is, literally like a brother to us. We're family. And I'll be interviewing him next for the Hoot educational program. I have the honor, everything Patrick has seen on that stage making him cringe and turn away.
Which he's seen a lot of stuff.
So that's if awesome. You want to see things that can make Patrick cringe and turn away, watch Eat Me, a variety show.
This guy right here. Yeah. This guy right here is on board. It's like the more I've been talking, doing these chats and stuff like that with everybody online, I've actually got to know a lot of people up in the New York area. It's getting more. I've never been to New York, originally my plan was good. Back in like the 3 or 4 months ago, back when we still don't know what was going on. I was going, all right, cool. Maybe in the fall I'll go up to New York and do something. And then like everything's going, no, everything's still shut down. I go, well, maybe next fall I can go up and do something. So because I've never been to Coney, I still want to go to Coney and all that other fun stuff.
Well,
And
our theater room has a pull-out sofa, so when you come, you have a place to crash for sure.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. I would really appreciate it. That'd be great. So, all right. So it is that time, unfortunately. We're gonna sign off tonight, so we're gonna have a good time. Now, thank you guys so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate the brides. Make sure everybody tune in on the 20th for the Eat Me variety show at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. Follow them on their socials, which is the Kinetic Cabaret Productions, both on Instagram and Facebook. You get all the details. I did put the Zoom ID on the thing underneath, so everybody can see that if you want to. And then otherwise, make sure you tune in. Do you guys have anything else to plug besides that?
I think no. The show's a week from tomorrow. Just keep making stuff and doing your thing, and just
Be good to yourself.
keep going. Know that you're loved and you're rock stars. Keep going, everybody.
Ah.